Hello and welcome to another update from the farm. Today is 16th December 2024. We have completed the mainline drip setup. Long story short, it works as intended. So this point is the farthest point in the farm. I still don't know the pressure, but it's looking good. We'll have to measure it with a pressure gauge, but it is working as intended. Let's quickly see what we have done. So we have done 3-inch main lines everywhere, and we have taken the 3-inch point out, and we have used some reducers and connected the 2-inch gate valve. Okay, let me slowly start moving ahead. Okay. So what you saw is the farthest point, which is good. So pressure should increase as we go closer to the sump. Few things to keep in mind for safety. Like, one important thing is we should not have gate valves closed when we're turning on the motor. Usually that happens if people by mistake close one of the gate valves and try to open another one, but if they close first and then open, then the pipe will break. The right way to do that would be to open the second gate valve and then sort of first close the first gate valve. That way there will always be at least one gate valve open at any given point of time. If not, there's a possibility of pressure building up and the pipeline breaking. And to avoid that happening, we have installed a pressure release valve. It's also called PRV, or pressure relief valve. I'll show that you which is installed near the sump. So this is how it is. This is another point. This is slightly ahead of the farthest point that I showed you. Reasonably good pressure. This section, as you know, is the watermelon section. Experiments again. Slowly we have to start giving Jivamrita on the setup. So we have a variety of things. So this one that you see here is an air valve. Obviously we don't have an air valve right now. I couldn't manage to get the air valve on time. So we have just used an MTA, which is male thread adapter, and used a dummy to close it with a threaded end cap. Later on, when the air valve comes, we'll just install it. Usually air valves are threaded. So we also don't have the flush valves. Flush valves are installed at the end of sublines usually, but since we have a H-shaped main line, we also have installed the air valves at the end of H shapes, the edges rather. Again, we don't have the flush valves now. I will have to do a separate detailed video on drip irrigation, layout, costing. I'll try and cover them separately. This is another subline. As you see, there's a 3-inch line that comes all the way up from the 3-inch main line that goes down, which is connected to the sump. And then we've used a few reducers and connector pipes to connect the gate valve, which is a ball valve, all plastic. And then we have another connector piece that goes towards the field. Later, from this point, we will use a small union, connect a 2-inch subline. For this field, for instance, it will go like this, north-south. And from there, we will have beds that are, east-west. The subline will run east-west in this case. And the beds will be north-south, and we will have the laterals in north-south direction. Now, an important thing to notice, we have used 3-inch 6 kg pipes, Phenolex brand, for all the main lines. The question is, why 6 kg per centimeter squared rating, and why not the usual 4 kg? If you would recollect, the vertical submersible open well motor that we are using is having a head of 62 meter, which means at the source we will have easily around 6 kg per centimeter square pressure. And with all the valves, turns and the distance, the pressure will obviously go down by the time it reaches the farthest point. And we want to make sure that we get at least 4 kg per centimeter square pressure when we reach the farthest point. That way we can use a rain gun effectively. Plus, having a high pressure motor and a high flow motor ensures that we can irrigate larger fields at a given point of time. Otherwise, if the pressure is the usual 1.5 or 2 bar, which is kg per centimeter square, bar are almost similar. If you use that kind of a motor, then we can only irrigate like 40 cents or half an acre at a time. I'm just hoping that we can irrigate up to like 1 acre at a time with this motor. This point is the rain gun point. So we haven't done anything funny here, like just the 3-inch pipe is coming out. We've used a converter or the reducer and just left it with the 2-inch gate valve. The plan is we'll have to figure out some HDPE pipe rain gun fittings, and we have left like almost 7 points like this all over the farm. There's one in that corner and one here and one towards the middle and at the end. The idea is we should be able to connect rain guns wherever we need to. That way, anything that needs to be sprayed or rain showered, we can use a rain gun. For instance, if you are giving Jivamrita spray or a buttermilk spray, neem spray, we could actually just use the rain gun and spray it across. That's the hope. Let's see how it works in practicality. We made sure that the pressure is good. Things seems to be all right so far. Hopefully it will work out. Let me show you something specific here. If you notice, sorry, it's a little hard for me to go down. Let me go the other way around. In the mainline network, we had a few bottlenecks. For instance, we have this huge rock right in the middle of where the mainline needs to go. So what we did is we used a connector and an FTA. The connector is a steel connector. They call it GI collar, which is connected to the GI pipe here. Not the GI pipe, the HDPE pipe here. The HDPE pipe, we had to heat it a little bit and connect the GI collar. And then we used an FTA to connect it to the PVC line, which is from here. This way, we've made sure that we don't have any L bends or T bends to go around the rock. We just want to minimize the number of bends that we have. That way the pressure can be maintained. So we had to do this little jugaad of using HDPE pipes. I did check the quality of the pipe. These are rated 8 kg and they're pretty strong. They're also used by a few farmers nearby. Got some reference and they seem to be good quality. So just experimenting with the non-ISI pipe. And by the way, I took it from the factory. Like, they are located very close to my farm, some 40 kilometers away. But this seems to be the only possible way out, a jugaad for us to get around the rock. We also encountered a small piece of rock in another trench over there, but again we had to use a HDPE pipe to just go around it. That should be it. Let me quickly show you the PRV before we wind up. This is another Subline. This is the pressure relief valve that I was talking about. There's a 2.5-inch gate valve, and this is an open pipe right now, but we will have a few filters. We'll have to plan the filters on a different day, but otherwise this pipe goes deep inside. There's an air valve, and finally here's the source. From the source we also have this return valve just to be able to control the pressure. If you open the top pipe, the pressure will go down. You can actually hear the sound of the motor right now. We've got an NRV, a non-return valve, a few reducers, not a reducer, sorry, a collar, and then one union. Right. The water level has started going down, which is good. It's working as intended. That's all the update that I had for today. So once again, long story short, the main line is working as intended. Next steps will be to close these trenches. We are planning to use manual labor to close the trench, just to make sure that the pipeline doesn't break. And then we will use the JCB that is standing there to just close all the trenches. And after that, we will have to start developing one field at a time. So we have to develop the subline, prepare the land, and then start cultivating.